9 years ago, Jacob Zuma fired in Klantlanene. It was a Thursday night. It was a move that was designed in Saxonwold by the Guptas to replace a competent finance minister with an incompetent finance minister of their choosing by the name of Des van Rooyen. There was absolute outrage. The country went wild. Don't know if you recall. It feels like it was 1,000 years ago. It was 9 years ago. Quite a long time, but not so long that we should forget that the country really couldn't understand what was going on, and it seemed like just one step too far. We knew that we had an incompetent president, and we knew that we had corrupt ministers, we knew we had incompetent ministers, but now this was an assault on South Africa. And South Africans across the board erupted, right, in outrage. Have you considered that that move, which ultimately led to a reversal of that decision, and by the Sunday, Des van Rooyen had been released from that position, Minister of Finance, and Prince, I was about to say somebody competent, and then I realized I was going to say Pravin Gordhan incompetent in the same section, same sentence. A new finance minister was installed, right? But it was because of the outrage of the South African public. And I'm thinking to myself, where is the outrage in South Africa now? Right? We've got a president who does far worse things. And he has literally pummeled us into submission. We are very quick to say that Cyril Ramaphosa is a failure, he's a ditherer, he's a man low energy, incapable of performing any action. I'm starting to think that we've got it all wrong, Prince. Here's a guy doing exactly what he wants to do. He has got us to walk at his speed. He has managed to take the country and kill all the energy in the country.
Speaking about outrage, man, I think it has to do with the reporting of the mainstream media on the two presidents. I think the reporting on Jacob Zuma was more critical. This is why many South Africans were aware of what is happening in the government, because the media was there, making sure that they report on every single thing that Jacob Zuma and the Guptas were doing, because that's what, like, Jacob Zuma was running the country with the Guptas, basically. So the media was there telling the people each and every day what Jacob Zuma and the media were doing, what and the Guptas were doing. But I don't think that it is still the case with Ramaphosa. I don't feel like the media in South Africa right now, when it comes to Ramaphosa, when it comes to reporting the nonsense that is happening under the Ramaphosa presidency, I don't think they are as critical as they were under Jacob Zuma. I think this is the reason why you don't see South Africans protesting all over the place. You don't see many organizations rising up. It's because the media is not playing its role. You remember under Jacob Zuma's tenure, we had all of these organizations, the Outhouse, the Save South Africans, and all of these organizations. But where are those organizations now? Because what Ramaphosa is doing to the country, man, I don't know. I don't even have a way to describe what Ramaphosa is doing to South Africa right now. Where are all of those organizations? Why are all of those organizations quiet? Why is the mainstream media quiet? Because what Ramaphosa is doing to South Africa, man, it's far worse than what Jacob Zuma has done to this country. So why is the media not being as critical to Ramaphosa as they were to Jacob Zuma? I feel like this is one of the reasons why. And Mike Sham is telling the truth, man. Ramaphosa has managed to beat the South Africans into submission. South Africans have given up on the country. People have given up on the country. People don't want to vote. People, they don't want to talk up. Like, you see, when it comes to politics, man, it's only few people that will find interested to talk about politics. People, they don't want to talk about politics. People are stressed out. They don't have jobs. People are stressed out. Their children are going to school next year. This is what people are thinking of. People are not even thinking of what is happening politically in the country right now. And I feel like the media, them not showing people what is happening right now, because, guys, we have to be honest, man. You saw our report, our media reports this year, man. They were just distracting the people all over the place. just distracting the people. You know, if you report about this racial issue, people are going to go there. You know, if you report about this politician saying one thing about the other politician, people are going to be reactive. They were not really showing us what's really happening in the government, and I feel like this is one of the reasons why South Africans are not so enthusiastic when it comes to going out and protesting and showing the people that, guys, we are not happy about what is being happening in South Africa. I honestly think so, guys. I don't know. What are your thoughts? Why do you think South Africans are not as vocal as they were under Jacob Zuma? Why? Please tell me what you think. I know we could have different reasons why we think about this thing. I think it has to do with the media playing the role of ignoring what is happening under Ramaphosa presidency, but they were not doing the same thing under Jacob Zuma. I feel like this is it. I don't know. I could be wrong. Please tell me what you think.
You know, South Africa used to have something like 70 protests a day.
Fact.
Right? These were people complaining they didn't have water, didn't have this, or didn't have that services. They burned down a building, which obviously was quite useful. But that was part of South Africa. We now no longer even have that.
Yes.
Why? Because we are all walking at Cyril Ramaphosa's speed. Nobody is outraged. Right? Our children quietly immigrate. Children of all color quietly immigrate. We lose our professionals.
Even the people, even the members of the African National Congress, man, they are not as vocal against the president like they were under Jacob Zuma. You know, under Jacob Zuma, man, there were those comrades that were openly against Jacob Zuma, but you don't see that right now with Ramaphosa, man. How many ANC politicians are there going against Ramaphosa? How many ANC politicians are there, man? Even the ANC, man, the ANC, it has been beaten into submission. No one says anything about Ramaphosa right now. All of the guys that were opposing Ramaphosa are out of the African National Congress as we speak. All of them. You see Isma Khashule, man, walking around there telling the people that he's going to take the votes from the African National Congress. Many politicians right now that went against Ramaphosa, man, we don't even know where they are today. Even the ANC has been beaten into submission. You know, Isma Khashule was one of those leaders, quote unquote, who said that Ramaphosa is only going to serve for one term, then the African National Congress is going to go back to the comrades. Where is he? He's no longer there. The ANC has been beaten into submission. South Africans have been beaten into submission. Man, the morale in the country right now is so low. The morale in the country right now is so low. You would barely find people talking about big dreams and trying to achieve huge things, man. People simply want to survive this day and want to survive tomorrow, want to survive the next day. People are living for that day, to survive that day. You no longer find people talking about things they want. Even the young people, man. You see right now, young people are sitting at home with all of the qualifications they have. They no longer have the morals of saying, man, I want to build a house, I want to do what. People simply want to survive, and they say, man, I can get any job. If any job I can get, man, I would really appreciate it. Even with the young people in this country, man, the morale is so low. The morale is so low. Man, Ramaphosa has beaten us into submission. Man, Mike Sham mentioned something I was not aware of. This guy beat us into submission.
Right? Our children quietly immigrate. Children of all color quietly immigrate. We lose our professionals. We don't really care. We allow the government to move from, we even call it load shedding. We move from stage 2 to stage 4. We allow Eskom and ministries to lie to us over the weekend, say it's stage 6 when it's stage 8. Right?
Even when it comes to load shedding, it's worse. When it comes to load shedding, man, it's worse. You will hear people saying, I like it when the schedule goes from 2 to 4. I don't like it when the schedule goes from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. People now have their favorite schedules in South Africa, man. Who would have thought that people right now would have their favorite schedules on load shedding? You remember when load shedding started, man, people didn't think that this whole thing was going to, we were going to get used to it. Just like with the mask, you remember when COVID got here, man, people were required to wear the mask. People said, man, we will never get used to wearing the mask. But people eventually were used to wearing the mask. Even today, people are still wearing the mask. Load shedding, the same thing. We thought that if there's one thing that South Africans will never get used to, if there's one thing that is going to force South Africans to punish the African National Congress, has to be load shedding. Load shedding, man, was supposed to be the final nail on the coffin of African National Congress. But no, You live in South Africa. Now people have their favorite schedules. People will tell you, man, I don't have a problem if the lights go off at 10 to 12. I'm at home. I don't care. People now have their favorite schedules. Who would have thought? At some point, I thought, maybe, load shedding. Load shedding is going to be the death of ANC. I honestly thought that load shedding is going to be the death of ANC. But seeing how people are responding to the African National Congress, man, if there's one thing that you must pay attention to, the African National Congress, week in, week out, they go to the people. And notice one thing, people are responding to the African National Congress. I'm telling you this because last week, Ramaphosa was here in the Free State, where I stay in Velko. Ramaphosa was here in the Free State. And Ramaphosa, when he went here, man, people went there, thousands and thousands of people, man, they went to see the president. You would have thought that the people in our communities, they would say, man, we want nothing to do with African National Congress. It's either you fix these problems. We don't want to hear anything that you say. But guess what? People still went to listen to President Ramaphosa. People still support the African National Congress in high numbers. Where the African National Congress go, people go and support the African National Congress. So if load shedding couldn't bring down the African National Congress, what is it exactly that is going to bring down the African National Congress? Man, they have proven it. When it comes to service delivery is nothing to the ANC, man. The ANC service delivery will never distract the ANC, man. The ANC has been depriving South Africans of service delivery, man, for such a long time. So to think that South Africans are going to vote on service delivery, man, it makes no sense. South Africans, they don't care about service delivery. But I thought if there's one thing that was going to bring down the African National Congress, I thought it was load shedding. But no. Nope. Our people are okay with load shedding. Our people have their favorite schedules on load shedding. So going into 2024, you have a situation where the same people that are deprived of electricity, these people are supposed to be outraged that their small businesses are dying. They're supposed to be outraged that they are being hurt in their communities right now. The criminals are targeting people easily because they know that if the lights go off at 6, it's already dark. The criminals can do whatever they want to do. Man, the implications of load shedding are so long. The implications of load shedding are so long. People are losing their appliances in their own homes. There's no one to report these matters to. If your TV goes off now, or your TV, if your TV goes off right now and it stops working, who are you going to blame? Who are you going to blame? Who are you going to force to replace your television? You have no one to replace your television. People are losing their fridges, their microwaves, their everything. They are losing their appliances right now because of load shedding. People right now are being victims, are being the targets on the streets of criminals. Why? Because it's dark, because of load shedding. Man, the implications of load shedding are so long. But for some reason, people are okay with load shedding. They even have their favorite schedules of load shedding. Who would have thought that South Africa today, man, we would have accepted that we are living with load shedding? Now, man, whether we like it or not, even me, I'm used to it right now. We are used to it. And it's very chilling that we as the people, we can get used to something so bad. Load shedding is something that we were not supposed to get used to. But for some reason, we are used to load shedding in South Africa. So what is one matter that is really going to take down the African National Congress? What is it exactly that is going to take down the ANC? Breaking down the state institutions, electing corrupt ministers, incompetent ministers, stealing and looting the public coffers, man, they didn't do anything. The majority of South African voters, they still love the African National Congress. You have load shedding on top of everything that is happening in the country right now. Crime, unemployment, everything. You have load shedding on top of that. Still, South Africans are still supporting the African National Congress. Man, you saw on weekend, the ANC was there in Johannesburg, in West Rand, where Fikile Mbalula was blabbing about Msimang. The ANC was there. Did you see that arena, man? The hall was full. The hall was full, just like I'm telling you, Ramaphosa was here in the Free State not so long ago. The whole sports center was full. Thousands and thousands of people went there to see the president. And this is what these people are doing all over the country. Wherever they go, people still go. So I sit back and I'm like, what is it exactly? What is one issue that is going to take down the ANC? Because clearly breaking down Eskom, Transnet, Postbank, breaking down all of the institutions, getting these corrupt ministers to run amok in the government, man, it didn't do nothing to South Africans. So what is it exactly that South Africans are, what is it exactly that is going to trigger South Africans to say enough is enough? Because By the looks of things, man, South Africans are still okay with African National Congress. Going into 2024, South Africans are still okay with African National Congress. They're still okay. These are the conversations that people are having right now in the taxis, man. You know, if you use the taxi to move around, these are the conversations you'll hear people talk about. People will tell you, man, I don't care, man. You see, all of these opposition parties, man, they offer nothing to us. They offer nothing to the people on the ground. They are saying nothing to the people on the ground that makes people reconsider voting for the African National Congress. They don't say nothing. So what is one issue that is really going to take down the African National Congress? All of these issues that we have mentioned, man, have done nothing to the party.
Load shedding. Now, please understand that by any estimation, and I've got some energy experts over there, right? We've got about 4,000 megawatts of solar installed in this country, which is another 4 stages of load shedding. So when you have a weekend like we had, which is stage 8, but they call it stage 6, it's actually stage 12. But we say nothing. We all just have a failure to be outraged anymore. Right? And this is playing into the hands of Cyril Ramaphosa. It's not by accident, it's by design. I do not believe he's out of his depth. I believe he's achieving exactly what he wants to achieve. Right? Jacob Zuma wasn't good enough to get the country to accept his bad decisions. But Cyril Ramaphosa is. He's good enough to get us to accept his bad decisions. We just take what that man says, we shrug our shoulders, we say, look at him, he's a buffoon. He has, we've got a whole president getting a whole media to report on him opening a tap. If you didn't see it, you would think it's satire. But you couldn't write that kind of nonsense, right? That a whole president of a country, supposed to be the most advanced country in Africa, is opening a tap. His spokesman posts a picture of a dam that was built in 1973 to say, no, that's what we were celebrating, the dam. The dam was built in 1973, more than 20 years before the new South Africa. But the president is opening a tap.
But Mike Sham, has to be honest, man, South Africans were really furious when Ramaphosa unveiled that tap. But what does it say about us, man, as people, man? I feel like we have given up on South Africa, man. We still have people who want to save this country, who still have hope for this country. But I feel like a lot of people, man, are just living their lives. They no longer care about the direction of the country. People are simply focusing on their own lives. They don't care about the direction of South Africa. Now people are being selfish. People are being selfish right now with their lives. They're saying, no, man, no. You see, everything that has to do with politics, anything that has to do with fixing this country, man, I want nothing to do with that. I just want to be okay. I just want my family to be okay. I'm sick and tired of these guys.
And we are not even outraged. Yet 9 years ago, everybody was up in arms because we had Des van Rooyen as a finance minister. Just think of the people we have as ministers now. Just think of it. Do you know that our finance minister was kicked out of the Eastern Cape government because he's a thief? Because he's incompetent. He was kicked out. The ANC kicked out Godongwana from the Eastern Cape. But yet we were outraged about Des van Rooyen. The problem isn't Cyril Ramaphosa. The problem isn't the ANC. The problem is us.
Thank you so much.
The problem is that people here with the most to lose are doing nothing. And it's time that we stop doing nothing.
Exactly, guys. It's time for us to roll up our own sleeves, man, and do something, man. And do something. This is not only our future, man. This is the future of our children. We cannot allow our children to inherit a worse country that we have right now. If we allow a situation where our children inherit a worse country than we have right now, then they're inheriting nothing. They're inheriting nothing. It's time for us, guys, to roll up our sleeves and say, guys, enough is enough. Enough is enough, guys. We need to run campaigns. We need to run campaigns, man. We need to have organizations as people who want what's best for this country. We need to come together, guys. We need to come together and say, guys, what are the solutions? What is it exactly that we're going to do to fix the problems of this country? Because we cannot sit back and allow the African National Congress and Cyril Ramaphosa to do as they please. We can't say the only thing that we can do is complain. We need to get on the road. We also need to get on the road as people. This is why last time I said, if you want the ANC out of power, it is not only the job of opposition parties to get rid of the African National Congress. It is not only the job of opposition parties. It is also the job. It is also your job as individuals. If you know people who haven't voted in the past elections or people who are not even interested in voting, you need to make sure that you convince these people to go to the polls and vote out the African National Congress. If there's five of you, each person in your group of friends must recruit 5 people, at least 5 people who didn't vote in the past elections, or people who don't even care about the elections, so that they can go to the polls and vote out the African National Congress. It is our job too to get rid of these monsters. It is not only the job of opposition parties. This is the mistake that many South Africans are making. They are simply placing their hope on opposition parties. This is not only the job of opposition parties. It is our job too. We need to roll our sleeves too. We need to be out there. We need to be active and say, guys, this is enough. 2024, guys. After 2024, we no longer want to see the ANC. We no longer want to see these ministers. The only time I want to hear about the name of any minister belonging to the ANC is when the news tell me that this person has been locked up. This is the only thing I want to hear about the ANC ministers. It is our job too to fix this country. We cannot delegate our problems to these political parties. As much as every one of us, they have their own favorite political parties. You can help your own political party in your own way. You can't sit back and expect the DA to simply turn out things if you are sitting back and doing nothing. You can't.
It's time that we get very vocal. It's time that we get outraged. It's time that we hold people to account. All of them. I had a very unfortunate discussion last week with, as I said, Solium Samanga. The Democratic Alliance had the opportunity, together with their so-called coalition partners, to retake Johannesburg. He says the reason that they couldn't do it, and this was interchangeable, was because they were going to pay 650,000 rand for this meeting and the snacks that you have to order. They must be very good snacks.
What?
And he didn't want to be part of that where they spent 650,000 rand. The money's spent anyway. He then says, I couldn't do anything because look at when they sent me the WhatsApp. It was 6 o'clock on a Sunday night. This is the sort of thing we should be outraged by across parties, but we're not. So I know that I'm preaching to the choir here because you've made the effort to come and hear some analysts. But please understand that before we complain and before we give that title of, Cyril, he's useless, he's not. He's extremely competent. He's doing exactly what he wants to do. He has got us walking at his speed. He has got us all on Valium. Right? The whole country is sitting there. Nobody's protesting. Nobody is questioning his cadre deployments. Nobody. And then what does happen is when you get into when you hear Parliament and you hear the DA complaining or the opposition party complaining, they sound shrill. They sound like Karens because we are just so used to accepting whatever's thrown at us. So certainly from my perspective on the state of the nation, I won't do that. I can promise you that. And I can promise to anybody who's going to be watching this broadcast, we are going to carry on raising the bar. We are not going to let people make bad excuses. And that's why you'll keep on watching the state of the nation. So thank you for joining us. Join us, even a little, crusade start somewhere. And I'm starting ours started ours already. You're in on the journey, right? I don't care where this leads, but I will not be one of those people that allows this to happen and said that I did nothing. So the least that we can do is understand that there's a very important election coming up. Our choices are poor, let's face it. I would love to say...
We don't have the choices basically in 2024, man.
Coming up. Our choices are poor, let's face it. I would love to say, oh, you know, we've got a wonderful coalition brewing. No, we've got a terrible coalition brewing. But they're better than these guys. Sometimes you got to just hold your nose. But let's do something. Let's make a few changes. And let's be outraged.
Oh, guys. Mike Sham is telling the truth, man. Mike Sham is telling the truth, man. As people of this country, we really have to stand up. We cannot sit back as hopeless, as if there's nothing that we can do. We really need to stand up as people of this country, man. So, guys, please tell me what you think about this speech from Mike Sham. Please tell me what you think in the comment section. Don't forget to hit that like button, and the most important part, subscribe. My name is Thomas Mabaso, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.